Hello, my magnificent ones. Welcome to the healing call of cancer. I'm Sue Paulson, your magnificence mentor. Today, I want to explore the topic of patient versus client. So I grew up in an era of the doctor was always the authority. The doctor always knew how to fix whatever was wrong. Now, whether that was true or not, it didn't really matter. My perspective was, well, the doctor knows best. So as I grew and got looking after my own body and going to the doctor by myself instead of my parents taking me, then I had this kind of unshakable understanding that I was the patient, and as the patient, I was to do whatever the doctor said because the doctor knew best. Now, is that true? Well, in some instances, it absolutely is, because based on their training, their experience, and their knowledge, they have a pretty good idea of what could be wrong and how to fix it or how to solve it. Well, but that only goes so far, because here's the insanity of it all. As the patient, I believe that my role was to just do whatever the doctor told me. I didn't ask questions. I didn't ask if there was something I should do to support this process or move along with it. And so it was a very passive kind of role. I was just kind of, okay, well, you do what you got to do, and I'll just go along with it. As part of that, I felt victimized at times, because especially when cancer struck, I was so terrorized that I didn't know where to turn, and I didn't know who to trust, and I didn't know what to do. So it was a very daunting time. And of course, I leaned towards the professionals, but by this time I was old enough to understand that maybe the doctors didn't know everything. Maybe what they said was, oh, this will work, wouldn't necessarily work for me. So I had questions in my mind, and I was uneasy, and I had learned some other ways of being and ways of doing things that caused me to doubt whether the quotes doctor role was the all beingness of everything, whether in fact that was true. So I had this questioning thing in my mind. A dear friend said to me after I had gone through much of my treatment, said, well, Sue, there's a big difference between being seen as a patient and being seen as a client. And I was curious about his perspective, because I thought, well, what's the difference here? Well, as a patient, there tends to be, as I just mentioned, a passivity about the role of, well, I'm here, you're the expert, you fix me. And then I just quietly, in support of whatever they say, go along with it. Well, of course, that can backfire in a big way, because sometimes when we just go along, things happen that don't turn out that well, and we go, well, what I trusted them to do this, and now things are really bad, and I don't know what to do next. So here's the difference then. If we're in the client role, so think of it, if you're a consumer or a client of somebody else's. So you have a service provider or a service provider, basically, who says, what do you need? How can I help? Well, the role shifts, and the perspective shifts to one of, I have needs that this individual may be able to fill. And there's going to be a cost involved, and there are going to be, hopefully, the benefits that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the benefits. So can this person provide the benefits that I'm looking for, and what's it going to cost me in order to do that? So it's a straightforward business transaction that we're all pretty familiar with as consumers, right? As clients of regular everyday services that are out there. But it's so interesting when we come to the medical profession that we don't often see it that way. We often enter the hallowed halls of medicine and think, oh well, I'm nobody here. Yeah, you are. You are the client. You are the person that they're meant to serve, and they went into that business in order to look after you to the best of their ability. And if you look at the Hippocratic Oath, well, it's pretty interesting how it's, like, do right by people and do no harm. So that was the mandate, and we as those they look after have a role to play in that as well. But it's as if we turn over our, not only our rights, but our responsibility to the establishment if we see ourselves as, well, I'm just the patient. I'm just there to do whatever I'm told to do. I don't recommend that route. I went in kind of blindly when I was going through the diagnosis and the treatment protocol and so on. And in the back of my mind and in my heart, I knew something wasn't right. I knew that I didn't want to just turn myself over and say, oh, well, do your worst or do your best or whatever. I questioned a little bit. And when it was interesting because when I questioned initially, I had some pushback. I said, well, what about this possibility? Oh, no, we don't recommend that. End of story. No explanation. No, we don't recommend that. Well, if you do that, you're just going to end up, and then the story went on, and I'm, really? Well, why would you say that? But because I got pushback, and I felt as if I was on shaky ground because I believed they knew more than I did, I just kind of relinquished my stance or my concerns or whatever, and I didn't ask too many more questions. But that didn't mean I didn't have questions when I left. I had lots of questions and went into research mode. So here's the thing. Obviously, people in the medical profession that are there to serve us know stuff. They know lots more than we know because that's their specialty. That's why they're there. That's why we go to them because, well, I don't know. And so I'm asking you, and I'm looking to you for help and support. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to do it from a position of, well, you know everything, I know nothing. They know about the profession, they know about the human body, but they don't know about your body. They don't know about your heart, your mind, your emotions, your spiritual well-being, your family support, your history, your situation. They don't know most of that stuff. You do. And you know how it feels when you take in certain things into your body. You know what makes you feel resoundingly healthy, and you know what makes you feel awful or terrible. Or if you don't, it's probably high time that you did figure that out. So I confess, I was pretty oblivious from time to time about what really was going on with me and with my body. So I allowed stress to infiltrate just little by little by little by little until it became a big deal, until it became cancer. And so then I woke up and I said, whoa, obviously I haven't been doing my part to look after my body. So now I really need some help from a professional to guide me on the path that will help me overcome my challenge and then move forward from there. So then I began to question, all right, what is my responsibility in all of this? What is my right? Well, I have a right to good care. I have a right to ask all the questions to satisfy me and to build the trust in the answers and in the coming relationships, that what I'm about to embark on is going to get me to where I want to go. So instead of just blindly, paying our money and saying, okay, well, just take me wherever you're supposed to take me, and hopefully I'll end up where I want to be. That's risky. That's riskier than I like. I'm a calculated risk taker, and I kind of want to know, all right, just give me a bigger picture here and fill in some of the gaps so that I can kind of try it on and say, does this work or not for me? So now, because of this huge, I guess I want to call it it's almost like a persona, it's in the air that, well, because cancer is such a big deal in our society, and there's billions and billions of dollars being spent on cancer research and cancer treatment and all of this kind of thing, then there's a tendency to think, well, when I enter that arena, then my only hope is to do what they tell me to do. And that's not actually true. You have more power than you believe you do. It's to say, okay, what is really going on here? And so, for example, there are people who've been given a diagnosis that is pretty dire and with a finite amount of time to live. And still, even though in most cases the doctors are saying, well, there's really not that much we can do for you, but if you're willing to go along with this on this treatment, maybe we can buy you a few more months or maybe another year or whatever. Well, whose choice is it? It's not their choice to do that. It's your choice. If you're in that boat and you get that diagnosis and they say, well, but you could do this. Well, because we're so fearful of dying, because we're so fearful of that final moment where we transition from the physical body and go back to spirit, we're so fearful of that, and we cling to life just so ferociously. There's a tendency to not even ask, well, so what's the quality of my life going to be like if you add 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? And because we don't ask, we're maybe a little astonished or reluctant when it comes to the consequences of that. Like we're facing the consequences of that and say, I had no idea it was going to be this bad. That the effects of the treatment that they offered are worse than just living my life and being with my family and having some quality time and so on. So I've seen it in movies, and I've experienced it from people that I know who are living the last days of their lives because of cancer. And they say, I don't want any more treatment because I just want to be with my family in whatever way that has meaning for me. And of course, as a client, you have a perfect right to, and a responsibility to say, yes, this is my choice. Whether anybody else likes it or not, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of this part of my life. And I get to say whether this is going to happen or not. So it's a weighing of consequences of whatever actions are being suggested to you. It's saying, do I really want that? And I had a cousin who was so sick with the last bit of cancer treatment that she was taking. She said, you know what? I know I'm going to die from cancer, and I don't want this anymore. I just want to be comfortable for whatever months I have left, for whatever time I have left. I just want to be with my loved ones and live each day as fully as I can and not feel sick as a dog. Well, you got to respect that. I mean, that's important, because it isn't, obviously we're at the point where it's not about the quantity of life anymore. It's about the quality of life. Well, as a client, you choose. As a patient, usually you just go along and say, oh, well, I'll deal with it. And then our loved ones watch us being so sick. And it's horrifying for them. It's really hard on our loved ones as well. It's hard enough having a loved one go through cancer and watching them look for every possibility to prolong that life just one more day. And I'm not saying that that's not the right thing to do, because it's a very individual choice. And there comes a point when we may choose differently. And that's good too. That's as it should be, that at any point you get to change your mind and say, well, I thought I was going to go down this path, but quite honestly, that's not working for me. So I'm going to go this path. And sure, you may get some of your professionals who say to you, oh, I don't really recommend that. Well, guess whose life it is? My life. And I get to pick. You may not agree. It may cause you some anguish or whatever, but it's still my choice. It's still up to me. So I really want to encourage you to think about your perspective on this whole patient versus client scenario here. Like where are you coming from with all of that? And I mean, if you choose to just say, okay, I just want to be a patient, I don't want to be involved in all of that, that's your choice. No harm, no foul on that. And if you say, I think I'd rather take a little more responsibility for what I'm doing, because there's certain consequences that I don't want, and so I'm going to choose this instead. Or I want to talk about it, I want to discuss it, I want to have a meaningful contribution to my own health and well-being. Because believe me, if your life path is to move beyond cancer into a life that is richer and fuller, you're going to want to participate and participate fully. So I woke up and I said, wow, I'm not really participating in my own life in as full a way as I could. And okay, well, I didn't. And so I had whatever consequence that was. But now I'm saying, no. Let me participate more fully. I want to be more in charge. That doesn't mean I don't seek help, because I did. I sought a lot of help, and I still do seek a lot of help. When I'm out of sorts and my body's not functioning that well, I have a trusted chiropractor that I go to who helps me out. But then I'm saying, okay, so this doesn't happen again. What do you recommend I do? And so then I take over and do better at whatever it is that I need to do, like not sitting on my computer chair for too many hours without getting up to stretch. So it's a simple thing, but only I can do that. So it's to really establish in your own heart and your own mind what your perspective about this is, and how willing are you to take charge of the role that you have as a thinking, deciding human being who says, well, this is my life, this is my body, I'm in charge of it. And if I'm going to turn over control in certain ways to certain professionals, then great, but I'm still in charge. And then at some point, I may take back the control and say, no, we're not doing that anymore. Or no, I don't want to do that. And so we have these options, and it's up to us to decide what's going to fit. What will I take? What will I leave alone? All of that really helps in us establishing our own personal power and saying, yeah, I have more power than I thought I had. and I'm going to use it in a way that serves me to the best of my ability. And as I learn and grow, I'll invoke it more and more. And then out of that, we come to a newer, fresher model, different from the old insanity that we've maybe adopted. And we say, no, now we're going to co-create. Now I'm going to cooperate with someone else. I'll do my part, they'll do theirs, and we'll see what the outcome is. I mean, we don't always know what the outcome is going to be. That's the risk that we take as we venture into the unknown, but it's been worth the journey for me. And my desire is that it will be worth the journey for you. So until next time, I hope that you're finding benefit from the Healing Call of Cancer series, which is on my YouTube channel. Every week I do a video such as this on different topics. And next week, actually, I'm going to interview a very wise and helpful guy who saved my life at one point, and Dr. Francisco Valenzuela. We're going to talk a little bit about, he's a psycho-oncologist, and we're going to talk about some of his experiences with cancer clients and some of what he knows about the focus of cancer in the body, what that can mean, and how we can move through it to not only survive, but to thrive. Until next week, have a great one. If you want more videos like this, and also my Tea with Sue videos, you can always access my app. It's a free download. It's called The Magnificence Mentor. Until next time, stay well.